guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sabrina and today I'm going to tell y'all about my first semester of law school. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications so that you never miss an upload. My last video, I talked about starting a close friends list on Instagram for my ASMR subs. The main purpose of that list was to make sure that I can keep in touch with y'all and more easily put out content when and if I have to stop filming again for school. I'm able to ask you guys for some input as far as the videos I'm putting out while I'm not in school. I polled my close friends list this week and asked if I should wrap Christmas presents while I did this video, and 100% of y'all said yes. This past fall, which was really crazy because we're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm just really excited that I even had the opportunity, so I wasn't gonna let the pandemic stop me. I submitted my application in January, but I didn't hear back for a while. Then I realized I had one more thing that I had to turn in, and that was in March that I did that. So after that, I want to say just a couple weeks later, I got accepted. So I found out in an email, which was really exciting. In my acceptance email, first year of law school, you're called a 1L. They gave a link to the Facebook group for all incoming 1Ls. I was really excited to see who my classmates would be, so I joined that group immediately. The first thing I did is I looked at everybody on that Facebook group and was stalking everyone's profile. I saw that there were a couple moms, which is cool because if you don't know, I have a 2-year-old. One of the moms actually wound up sending me a message on Facebook. She just introduced herself and asked me about my daughter, and then after that I reached out to a couple other people. Another 1L posted a link to GroupMe, and they had started a GroupMe for the incoming 1Ls. I'd never used GroupMe before, so I didn't join that group right away, but eventually I did. I want to say I joined that group in May, and from there everything really took off. A bunch of people were already in that GroupMe, and I don't know, it was just a much more personal experience. Plus the school wasn't involved with the GroupMe, so it was just more more about socializing and less about school. I mean, we talked a lot about school too, but it was more about getting to know each other. A lot of people who got accepted were from out of town, out of state, whatever. So one girl would host Zoom happy hours where everybody would drink and just talk, play drinking games, get to know each other, that kind of thing. So that was fun. I didn't join in on that immediately. By the time I joined the GroupMe, they had already had maybe 1 or 2, and then they continued having them every Friday, but I don't know, I didn't do them right away. I guess I was worried it was going to be awkward, but it was cool, it was fun. I got to know a lot of people that way. A bunch of other group me's came out of the main group me, if that makes sense. So like there was like an all girls one, an all boys one, there was a parents one for dog parents, TikTok group, and like, I don't know, all kinds of groups. I think my favorite was the girls chat. Conversation flowed well, and we even had a Zoom with just girls. Actually, we got assigned to our section. So if you're not familiar with like the way law school works, your first year, everybody gets split up into sections. So like this year, my school had section A, B, C1, C2, D, and O. So A, B, C1, C2, and O were all full-time students. And then there's the part-time night school program, that's section D. Because we're in a pandemic, you got to elect online classes or in-person classes. I elected in-person. Section O was the online section. A, B, C1, C2, and D were all in person. I don't know if there were any part-time online people or how they handled that. I was section B, so over the course of like the group me, like pre-semester interactions, I got super close with a few people. I mean, I made friends with a good amount of people. I feel like I went into school knowing a lot of people already. I had only met, I think, 2 people before school started. So one girl I went to lunch with and I absolutely love her. Another girl, she and I hit it off too, and we got a tour of the school together. I think those are the only people I had met before school started. The majority of people that I made friends with, like the people that I got closer with, they all were in section A, so that kind of sucked. There were still like a few people in section B that I had made friends with beforehand. I want to say they were mostly guys. There were people that I had talked to before in section B that were girls, but anybody that I was like friends with, they were guys. So even though we had chosen in person because of the COVID numbers in San Antonio at that time, everybody started school online. So we started school like I think August 11th or 10th or something like that, and we were online until September 1st. First year of law school, you don't get to choose any of your classes, and you stick with your section throughout the whole first year of law school. You have all of your classes together. At my school, we have 4 classes for our first semester. One of those classes, the professors are like older, so they decided they wanted to be online like all semester. That was torts. For my section, our writing class was split in half. Our section, I think, had like 55 students in it. So my writing class only had 19 students, and then the rest of the students were in the other writing class. So because the classes were smaller, and then also because of like scheduling classrooms and like capacity and like room to social distance and all of that, our writing classes started in person. But our other 2 classes, which were contracts and federal civil procedure, those were online until September 1st. We had like 2/3 of each class in person, and then 1/3 of the class was online, like asynchronous, which just means you can do it on your own time. So like there were deadlines for things, but we could choose like any day of the week or time to work on the asynchronous part of the class. Contracts and Civ Pro met on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They like split us up into teams, like A through H or something. The teams were alphabetical, but also the people on the teams were alphabetical, if that makes sense. And it's so confusing, but the school for some reason had me, even though I applied with my last name, it had me by my maiden name. So like I was on team C, team Charlie, with other people whose last names were G or H. So that's kind of how they split up the teams for both contracts and Civ Pro, so they kept the same teams for those two classes. The first half of the teams met on Zoom on Tuesdays, and then the second half of the teams met on Zoom on Thursdays, which was nice because that really made it so that 2/3 of our class was asynchronous, if that makes sense. So I would show up on Tuesdays on Zoom, and then on Thursdays I'd have to wait until after the normal class time, and then our professors would send out a link to the recorded Zoom session. One of the big things about like your first year of law school is cold calls. Like that's something that everybody, you know, kind of like gets nervous about. You want to make sure you've read and prepared. That way if a professor calls on you, you don't look like an idiot. We still did that on Zoom, and a lot of people, you know, it's kind of a controversial topic. Like some people felt you didn't get the full experience that way, and some people felt that you did. But keep in mind, we started online but finished in person. So having done both, I almost feel like being cold called on Zoom was scarier, and maybe that was just because it was earlier in the semester, so I was like newer at the time. But I feel like it had more to do with the fact that like you're up close on some, like once you're talking, you know, like you're someone's full screen, like you're up there in everyone's face, whereas in person it's like a huge classroom. They had us like social distance, so we didn't have, you know, we didn't have anyone within 6 feet of us, at least sideways, and like the professor's like way down there. Like it's just like, I don't know, it wasn't as scary in person, I felt, as it was on Zoom. I had my first cold call on Zoom. I think it went really well. Like I was fully prepared and I got most of the questions right. I got one of them wrong, but he was cool about it because he knew that I read and I prepared, so he didn't give me a hard time. But I will say that was like our toughest professor. That was like the one that everybody was afraid of, and he was really the only one you had to worry about, like as far as looking like an idiot in his class, because if you didn't read, he made you look and feel stupid. And not to mention, I mean, you don't get graded on being cold called per se, but his policy was like if he calls on you and you're not prepared, you get marked absent the first time, but if it happens a second time, he'll lower your grade like a full letter grade, which is kind of crazy because law school is so competitive. It's graded on a curve, so everybody's competing for grades, and to be lowered a full letter grade, that's like huge. My writing class started in person. I feel like I had like a few first days of school because, you know, like I have my first day of school online, and I had my first day of school in person for my writing class, and then in September, I had my first day of school in person for contracts and Civ Pro. So that was definitely interesting. Cute. One thing I forgot to mention is there was like a surprising amount of drama on like GroupMe before the semester even started. I'm not gonna get into specifics, but there was like real life drama. Like there was like name calling and like outbursts, and there was lots of drama. I would love to say that I wasn't involved in any. I don't know. I didn't. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't want to get into it. You guys, this is a toy for my dog, but do dog toys like the crinkle, do they not tingles? I have like a list on my phone of triggers I can use for videos, because normally when I tell stories I have something in my hands that I'm using as like a trigger item, and I'm pretty sure I have dog toys on that list. So honestly, starting in person was the best thing. I mean, it really is like a unique experience because you're with your section for every class. I haven't had that since even in middle school. You switched classes. Like, I haven't had that since I was in private school. So if y'all have seen my like cult videos, that was like the last time I experienced anything like that, where you know you stay with your class and you switch classes with your class, the same students every day. But starting in person was like a game changer. Classes became easier to like grasp, and you know you just get to talk more, talk to people. And some people were already like, there were study groups formed before we even entered school, and like I knew lots of people, but I didn't have a study group formed. I will say that I have major commitment issues, and I also don't know how well I work in a group. I think I do okay, but like long term, I don't know. I've never had a study group that I stick with all semester, and that's like a major thing in law school. So I never formed a study group. Like, I did study with groups of people at different times throughout the semester, but really I just had a study partner. I do well with like smaller groups. It might be like my only child syndrome or something like that, but I kind of prefer less people. Like, I met some super badass people in law school, and I'm so amazed by some of them, because some of them are like starting the semester at like 21 years old. I know, okay, let me back up a little bit. I have a friend who lives in Australia, and he told me that in Australia, law school, it's a bachelor's degree. It's an undergraduate degree. And I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I know I've got subs in the UK, but I want to say that it's the same like in other places in Europe. I'm not entirely sure, but in the US, it's like an upper level degree, so you have to go to undergrad and then apply to law school. I had classmates that started the semester 21 years old. That means that they already had their undergraduate degree and like had like good enough grades and LSAT score to get accepted into law school. And then law school is so hard. Like, it's so much work. And the not even just the amount of work, it's like the intensity, or like like there's so much reading to do, and the reading is so like dense and just like high, it's just like high level like thinking. It's freaking hard. Like, it's not easy at all. Honestly, I give my classmates so much credit, because some of them, most of them, were like under 25, and I don't know, 22, 23-year-old Sabrina could never. Like, I was not in a place where I could have been doing what I just did this last semester. Another thing, I just want to like point this out. Starting law school in the middle of a pandemic is like no joke. I mean, things were just so much more stressful. It was just, everything was different. Like, we had to social distance in class. We had to wear masks, you know, all day on campus. Like, they didn't have, like in the library, in the law library, normally it's like full of students studying, but they had like very limited seating available, and they didn't have the upstairs open at all. So there was just so much less space to study on campus. They really wanted to discourage students from being on campus. Like, they really wanted us to, and this is like directive we got during orientation, they really wanted us to like come to school, come to our classes, and then leave, so that, you know, we could like minimize contact and like minimize the spread of COVID. We did have a few COVID cases during the semester, which was another thing. Our professors had to wear masks too, and like one of one of our professors, this is my contracts professor, the one I told y'all was like the one you had to worry about, you had to make sure you're prepared. Like, he talks really fast. He was my favorite professor, so I'll just put that out there. But he's like really smart. So the stuff he says is like just like not the easiest to follow. Like, you have to have done the reading and be comfortable with it. You can tell he's been teaching this for years. Like, it just like rolls off his tongue, whereas, you know, everybody's like hanging on his every word, trying to like follow, because it's just like complex material and he's saying it quickly. So even like on the Zoom recordings, I would, if it wasn't my day, I loved watching those videos because I could pause and like take my notes because he talks so fast. On Zoom, he's right there at his laptop. He's got him, you know, the mic is right there. You hear him clearly. In person, he's talking fast. It's complex material and he's wearing a mask. There was one time I raised my hand in class to like answer a question. I said both parties bore the risk. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? And I said, because both parties bore the risk? And he's like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. And I'm like, both parties? And he's like, bore the risk? He's like, what? Both parties what? I'm like, bore, like bear, like bared, like bore. Both parties bore the risk. And he's like, oh, okay. It was like, like awkward, and I felt bad, like, oh, like, do I take my mask off? Like, I don't know. It was just like different. The masks made it harder to understand him in particular. However, I will say that for his class, because he put so much pressure on us to do well, and because, you know, he expected so much from us, I worked really hard in his class, and I think that was one of my strongest classes. Guys, don't judge the way I wrap this one because it's just for my dog. It doesn't need to be pretty. My study partner was cool. I think we'll probably study together during next semester. One cool thing. So before school started, before we even had sections assigned, I was looking for masks, you know, that I'm gonna wear to school. Like looking for like cute masks, or I don't know. I was looking for one that said like my school's name, but like School of Law. I found masks for my school and they sent us masks too, but none of them specified School of Law. I'd heard like the year before someone else, or like one section made like a section t-shirt and then they sold it and the proceeds went to charity. So I was like, what if we make a mask for the School of Law and then sell them and then donate the proceeds to charity? So I reached out to this one girl who talked about like making class t-shirts, like in the group me. I DM'd her and I was like, what do you think about this idea? She loved it. And so once the semester started, we wound up like getting a committee together, or we were trying to just get a committee where it was gonna be like one person from each section, but we wound up getting like 13 people who were interested, and we took it to like the dean and all these different people, had a bunch of meetings and talked to the pro bono, the person in charge of pro bono, and the dean of student affairs, and dean of the law school, and the communications department. I mean, we had to talk to all kinds of people, but eventually, because of the number of people in our group, they said we had to do like a registered student organization. So we've started the organization, we've like named like everybody in the group has a position. We found a vendor for the masks. We have a design for the mask. We got it approved by the school. And we pretty much have everything we need to like hit the ground running once next semester starts. So I'm pretty excited about that. This one's less cute, but sounds good. In my writing class, I did pretty well too, I think. Well, okay, we don't have our grades back yet, and the way that law school works for the most part is there aren't really any grades in the semester. It's like everything boils down to your final exam or your final and your midterm, if that class has a midterm. So like in my FedCiv Pro class, we had a midterm, which I did pretty well on, and then we had a final. And then for contracts, we only had a final. We had like quizzes and stuff, but they were all completion. And then for torts, we only had a final. And then for writing, we had lots of assignments. So that's the only class where we had like lots of assignments leading up. And I feel really good about my writing class. Like I did really well. However, on my midterm, I didn't feel I did that well. I felt I did well, but I didn't get that great of a grade. And that was like my first like real meltdown of the semester. It's because, like I said, I had been doing so well in that class, and like I knew what some of my classmates made, and I was like, what the hell? So I was really freaking out about that, but we got through it. And then like after that, we were working on this one paper. That was the assignment that was worth the most amount of points, like up till that point in the semester. Our professor, so apparently she graded those papers and didn't tell anybody. Normally she grades and she posts the grades as she does them, but for that one, she said that everyone, like the grades were really low, so she was nervous to post. So she had like finished by Sunday, and this was Wednesday, and she's like came to class, she's like, okay y'all, like I have your grades, I haven't posted them, y'all are gonna be mad, like please be easy on me. Do you want me to post them ASAP? Do you want me to post like at a certain time of day so that your grade doesn't distract you? And this whole time I'm like, oh my god, she's thinking of me, because when I had my bad midterm grade, I like scheduled a meeting with her. I was like holding back tears talking to her. Like I was so upset. She was like, girl, like go take a walk. Like she knew I was just like going through it. And I was like, oh my god, like I bombed this too. She's worried that I'm gonna be too hard on her. Like I thought all of this whole spiel was because of me and the big deal I made about my midterm. And then everybody's like, no, please post the grades ASAP. So she's like, all right, after this class, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna post those grades. But she told us in class, like, the highest grade in the class is this, the lowest grade in the class was this, the, like, median was this. I was fully expecting to get a low grade, and then I got home and she posted the grades, and I saw that I got the highest grade in the class. So, like, total, like, confidence boost. It was exactly what I needed, like, going into finals. I mean, the relief I felt, oh my god. All of your finals for law school at my school, you don't get your grades until the following semester. So like I had all my finals. I have no idea how I did. I won't know till next month, I'm sure. And yeah, so that kind of sucks, but I'm just trying not to think about it. What's done is done. I tried my absolute hardest. Like, I know that some of y'all were wondering like why I wasn't posting. I got a bunch of like really sweet comments and really sweet messages. I just want y'all to know that if it weren't for those, I don't know if I would have come back. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love YouTube. I missed it so much, but if I didn't feel that I was missed in the community, I don't know if I would have, you know, taken the time to put myself out there again, because it probably would have like hurt my feelings a little bit, or like, I don't know. I just like YouTube, and like all of y'all that I've met and that I talk to means a lot to me. And so to get that feedback, like, please post again, or like, we miss you, or I got some DMs, all of it meant a lot to me. But the reason I had a hard time keeping up with things outside of school is the amount of time that you have to spend studying is crazy. We had to make a study schedule and then turn it in, and you have to spend a minimum of 60 hours per week. 60 hours per week studying, not including class time. That doesn't include driving to school. It doesn't include extracurricular activities. It doesn't include anything but literally studying, which is like reading, briefing cases, organizing your notes, like 60 hours a week. Before law school, I was a stay-at-home mom, so it was a huge adjustment for me and my daughter and my husband. Most days I woke up at 5 a.m. and got like 2 hours of studying done before my daughter woke up, and then I would get her up, I would get her ready, get her dressed, brush her teeth. In the beginning of the semester, my husband was staying home with her, but then eventually he was like, needed to go back to work, so we put her in daycare. So I would like get her ready, and then I'd drive her to school, and then I would drive to school or come home depending on what my schedule is like that day. And then I would study or be in class all day until it was time to pick her up. I'd have dinner with my family, and then my husband would get her ready for bed and read to her while I study some more. And then I'd go nurse her and put her to sleep, and then I'd come back to studying until like 8:30 or 9, and then I'd go shower and go to bed. And that was my day, 7 days a week, not just Monday through Friday. Here and there, you know, like I would take time to do something with my family or my parents or my grandparents or just like whatever. My mom helped a lot because pretty much every weekend my daughter would spend the night with her one night. My daughter loved that, you know, it was a nice like getaway, like fun thing to do. I didn't have time to do really anything, which was hard. I think earlier on in the semester, the first time I like cried was because I missed my daughter, and I felt like she would like come to this is my office. This is like where I spent like a good amount of my time this semester. But she would like come to the door and like knock or like wiggle the doorknob and like, mama. And so like, of course I'd go out there and like take a few minutes, which when she was not in school, that was really nice. I got to like take, you know, a 2-minute break every hour or a 10-minute break every hour or two or whatever, just to like snuggle her and like talk to my husband, look at something other than a book. It was like very intense. So I promise it wasn't just like YouTube wasn't important to me. It was like I barely had time for my family and my child, you know. One thing that I did make time for is counseling, therapy. I made sure to like get in their system before school even started. So I've been talking to my therapist like through the school since July, which has been really nice, and I just feel like much needed because tensions just get so high. I mean, this is a really stressful situation. As a matter of fact, there's like this stigma or like pattern maybe where people who start law school married, like, get divorced. I mean, my husband and I are super solid, so I'm not worried about that. But, you know, when you're stressed, you can become, like, maybe not the most positive person to be around. So it was really important for me to take time for my mental health, not just for myself, but also because I want to be like a positive presence in my daughter's life and in my husband's life. So that was definitely something that I needed and something that I benefited from. I'm like the biggest proponent for going to counseling, therapy, whatever, because I don't care. Everybody needs it. Everybody has something that they can work on, or some way they can grow, or some childhood trauma to deal with. But all in all, I really, really enjoyed this semester. Like, I feel like I learned so much, totally pushed myself, you know, out of my comfort zone, like past my limits, like that's how you grow. I definitely feel like I'm in the right place, like I'm supposed to be here. I feel like I was competitive in the best way. It wasn't like super like cutthroat, like in a bad way, but it was like there's this one girl, and you know, I'm in school with tons of smart people, so this is not to take away from anyone else, but this is just an example of someone. There's this one girl, she's like such a badass. I think she's like 23. She was the first one of the first people to be cold called like on Zoom, and she sounded so freaking smart. She's one of the people who went into the semester with a study group, and she's in my writing class too. She's just like well spoken. She comes off like really serious, but she's actually super, super nice. She's just like on her shit, like somebody who really like impresses me for her age, but even not for her age. She's just like a badass. Being around people like her really pushes me to want to do better. So it's like competitive in that way. Like, it's not like I want to be better than her. It's just like, okay, like just like being around people who are like working hard and trying hard and doing well makes you want to work hard, try hard, and do well. It's like you need to like keep up, like, and that I feel is one of the best things about law school. I mean, the same with my study partner. He was awesome and super smart, and our strengths are like completely opposite, which is why I think we make a good like duo. We both were in the same writing class, and we both did really well in that class. We both had that in common, but like for our other classes, it was like where I was weaker, he was stronger, and vice versa. And like even the way we think, like I'm more detail oriented, whereas he was like maybe more big picture. And sometimes like I am too detail oriented, like to a fault. Like I'll want to spend too much time on something, or like too like perfectionist, and like things that I don't like. Our time is so precious and valuable because we've got so much to do, that he kind of helped me keep things in perspective sometimes when I wanted to spend too much time on something. So anyway, I met some like really awesome people in law school, and you know, other people that you can tell like they should be here, like they were cut out for this. And that's how I felt. Like I just felt like I was in the right place, and like exercising my brain in a way that I'm meant to. So it was like a really badass experience. I'm about to start a clerkship for a family law attorney, so I'm really excited about that. I'm also really excited to start school again. I'm excited to find out my grades, to find out where I ranked among my peers. I'm just ready to get back in it. It makes me like excited for the future and excited to be an attorney. There's a lot more that I could get into, and I know this was going to be like a ramble, like life update, what I've been up to, what my first semester of law school was like type video. So I wasn't exactly sure like what y'all wanted me to elaborate on, like what y'all wanted to hear about the most. Did you want to hear about my classes? Did you want to hear about my friends? Do you want to hear about my professors? Like what it was like being in law school during the pandemic? Like I could elaborate on anything. How I got in, how I studied for the LSAT, being a mom in law school, like I don't know. Whatever y'all want to talk about, I'm all for it. If I don't get enough demand or maybe don't have enough to say about a particular subject to make a whole video about it, I can and will and plan on touching more on like day-to-day stuff or just like more law school stuff on my Instagram story. So again, brings me back to the close friends list thing. If you want to be a part of my close friends list, just follow me on Instagram and send me a DM and just say, hey, I'm coming from YouTube, want to be on your close friends list. Even if you already follow me, just let me know, because I know I have some people on Instagram who I know subscribe to my YouTube channel, but I don't want to like presume you want to be on my close friends list. So if you do, just send me a DM, let me know, and I'll add you. It's been pretty cool so far. It's gonna be like polls, questions, maybe just like some little ASMR clips, or like have like a shorter like story time, like something that happened to me that day or that week. I also want to like show you guys a little bit more what law school's like when school starts. And then this is like silly and random, but there are a few people at school who I feel like should totally make ASMR. Like they have those voices. I'm gonna try to like see if I can get some of them to like story quickly while I'm at school with them. So we'll see. But the possibilities for my close friends list really are endless, and I want to build it up some more so that I can get more feedback. I'm thinking about like asking y'all things like, what should I wear on a video? What makeup should I do? What like trigger items should I use? Like if I don't know which story I want to do, I might like let y'all vote on topics. I really just like want another way to connect with y'all and make sure I'm giving y'all what y'all want. I'm gonna film as much as I can before school starts. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, if you have any questions, if there are other videos or topics that y'all want me to touch on pertaining to law school or not related to law school at all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for staying by my side through last semester. Also, I just want to put it out there, the first year of law school is supposed to be the hardest, so like after this year I imagine it'll be easier to film some more. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications so that you never miss an upload. I love you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.